Welcome to the Thinking Class in Session. This is our pilot episode. I am Professor Ely, Dr. Ely, Chris, Christopher, Chris by itself, Kit, whatever you want to call me. And this is our experimental pilot episode, an extension of my Substack, but just an extension of everything we do at Nefarious Media Network. So this is going to be our political countdown show where we talk about issues of the week. Some of the issues are going to be probably more important than the others. We're just talking about what's newsworthy. We're not approaching this from what's the most important point of view, more so from what's the most topical and trying to engage with listeners, readers of the thinking class, watchers of the thinking class, all that stuff. So, anyway, class is in session. And with that, let me introduce you to Ray Williams. He's going to be the moderator of these shows. And Lynn is our first special guest. Lynn, interesting enough. So this is news to you also, Ray. But originally, when I wanted to do a political show, I wanted to do a show with Lynn. I would say this was probably like 2022, 23. I don't know if you remember, Lynn, but I
Yeah, it
was
was like
wanting to do the show. Yeah. So yeah, it was like, and I was like, I just didn't have the equipment and the setup, and then all the stuff start happening with me all at once, with me needing brain surgery, and then like my vision start just going haywire and all this other kind of thing. But now we're here, so Lynn is going to be the first rotating host. Hopefully she'll want to come back and do this again. But yeah, so what are today's topics, Ray?
All right, so we got a plethora of topics, Professor, ranging from the ongoing case with Nolan Wells and how Officer Tatum viewpoints have been skewing how people feel about Nolan Wells. We've also going to be talking about Cori Bush and her recent defeat and how
Mhm.
this is much more different than her last defeat. And we're also going to touch upon where in the world is Mitch McConnell. But to start off, we're going to go ahead and talk about this brother, Chef Ken. So if you guys are not familiar with Chef Ken, aka Wilkinson Sejour, is a Haitian Bahamian founder of Miami's Chef Creole restaurants. And the reason why he's one of our topics today is because he voted for Donald Trump in 2024, even after the debacle that was the Trump Harris debate, the only Trump Harris debate. Now he says he regrets his votes as Trump's immigration policies affect his customers, workers, community, and business. So, Professor Chris, you talked about it in one of your more recent pieces that you and Chef Ken both watched the Trump Harris debate, but only one of you really understood what was going on. So, what exactly did Ken think Trump was going to do when he was talking about mass deportations?
Okay, so the way I described it in my article with Chef Ken Wilkerson, what's his name? Wilkerson Sejour? Is that
Wilkinson
his name?
Sejour, yes.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, so yeah, with Chef Ken, I described him as like one of those like I equated it to a high school girl who's got a crush on the bad boy in high school, right? So
Mm.
like in the bad boy in high school dates all the nice girls, right? And every single nice girl thinks that they're going to be the one to reach the bad boy in his heartstrings and be the one to change the bad boy, be the person that's going to be, hey, I can reach him, or I can turn him into a good guy, or I could turn him into a good person and all that. And then they date him and they treat the girl like they treat everybody else, because the bad boy doesn't necessarily want to change. The bad boy wants to continue doing the stuff that they want to do. So I think with a lot of immigrants, when they heard Donald Trump talk and say things like the Haitians are eating the cats and eating the dogs and all that kind of fuckery, I think they heard, well, he's talking about those Haitians. He's not talking about me. He treated those girls like that. He's not going to treat me like that. And I think that's a lot of immigrant sentiment. I don't want to stereotype every immigrant that's what they think, because I've met plenty of immigrants that know Donald Trump is the piece of crap that he is. But you do get those that they come to the country, they come from poor countries and countries that have less than the developed country that is the United States of America, and they want to assimilate and be a part of Americana. And I think one of the ways they think they can do that by is endearing themselves to the president. Donald Trump is the president. So I think they're doing their patriotic duty by voting for this guy. Because I think one of the things that Chefkin said was that Trump sold to him this idea of him being a businessman, which is funny because he said all that other stuff, and the only thing that this guy seemed to have heard is the businessman. So I think that's where we are at with these people. And I will also say this, and then I'll throw it to Lynn. I think that the one thing I will give Chefkin is he did say he regretted his vote. That is not something I see a lot of Trump voters say. I've seen Trump voters be like, yeah, I lost my family farm that was in the family for 150 years. And then when they're asked if they regret their vote, they're like, no, I still think my vote was good. I think Kamala would have been worse and all this other crap. And their world is like imploding behind them, right? I've seen guys lose their wives. Like their wives get deported, their husbands get deported. And when they're asked if they regret their vote, they're like, oh no, I think I did the right thing. So at least Ken did that. Should we forgive Ken? The way I approach this is, I don't know. Forgiveness is just not something I'm willing to give out to someone like him. I don't think he's unredeemable, but I do think that he's got to make himself available to Democrats. I think he's got to stump for Democrats and get people to vote. Always remind people that he fucked up, and just like register voters in 2026 and 2028. And that will be the start of your atonement. And that's my opinion. So I'll throw it to you, Lynn, for your opinion on Chef Ken.
Actually, I love the comparison between Chef Ken and kind of this naive high school girl, because I do agree. I feel like during the election, particularly during the debates, I wonder particularly because I think this is becoming more of a thing where people are starting to come forward and say that they regret their vote. I believe that a lot of people had very tunnel vision. I think it has a lot to do with identity, how people show up in the world. So based on your identity, if you, as me, I see myself as a Black person first and then a woman, I think we have to have a conversations around identity and how people see themselves first. Maybe this man in particular, Chef Ken, saw himself as a